Stewie has done a lot of evil things, whether it's simply pranking a kid or just straight up starting a nuclear war. But here are the moments when Stewie Griffin absolutely deserved to be put into jail. The episode Brian and Stewie starts with Brian and Stewie getting trapped in Quahog Bank's safety deposit with no outside help coming to save them. If this isn't already distressing enough, the poor baby gets so scared that he ends up soiling his pants.
Did you just crap your diaper?
I got scared when the door closed.
Moments like these are reminders that Stewie is still a little baby, although a menacing one who puts even most war criminals to shame. Being stuck with the baby is anything but fun, especially when that baby has already pooped his pants and there is no way to change him. But our genius Stewie has an idea on how to fix this problem.
If the poo were to be removed...
What is it? What are you driving at?
Eat it.
What?
Eat my poo, Brian.
You're out of your mind.
Sometimes I really wonder what's going on in Stewie's head. I mean, how could one even imagine something like this? Brian, being the only sane voice in the room, rejects Stewie's suggestion, but Stewie still continues to insist by gaslighting Brian that he would get rashes if he doesn't eat his shit.
I don't see a way around it, do you?
I would shoot myself first.
Ah yes, the ultimate gamer move. If you can't win an argument, just kill yourself. Stewie calls him out for bluffing, but when he realizes that Brian really has a gun in his safety deposit box, he immediately makes a run towards it so he can grab it before Brian does. Stewie points the gun at Brian's head and forces him to eat his poop. I'm pretty sure that's a felony. Faced with the threat of eating someone's shit by being held against a gun, makes Brian remember that Stewie still has his cell phone with him, and with that, they can make a call to 911. However, Stewie being Stewie wastes the only chance they had by calling to the designer shop. He just wanted to return his $3,000 jacket that has its deadline pending today. Can't really blame Stewie here. That's $3,000. But Brian isn't happy with what Stewie just did, so he slaps him on the face, which causes the poor baby to go into the corner and cry himself to sleep.
Ah! That really hurt.
Brian feels bad for hitting Stewie, so to make up for his mistakes, he accepts Stewie's suggestion to eat his poop. After Brian is done cleaning up both the poop and the vomit, both of them go back to sleep as they still have a whole day remaining ahead. Later at night, Stewie wakes up and finds Brian drinking and asks him where he got the bottle. Brian tells Stewie that he was saving it for something important, but now that they are stuck here, what's the point?
Want a sip?
You're offering me some? It's liquor, isn't it? Babies aren't supposed to have liquor.
Ah yes, drinking alcohol is a minor. That's another offense for this murder-driven baby. Alcohol makes both of them tipsy, which leads to Stewie exposing that he wasn't having rashes or anything and that he just wanted to make Brian eat his poop. Even though that's not a criminal offense, but man, this evil baby is a menace to society. The episode Stewie Goes for a Ride starts with Brian picking up Stewie from the daycare where he is unnecessarily being rude to one of the kids named Gavin.
Gavin. That's a stupid name. And nobody likes you at school. You're gonna be ugly when you grow up. And everything in your house is cheap.
The episode has just started, yet this evil baby is already being a menace to everyone around him. After picking up Stewie, Brian drives him home, as he jams to Before He Cheats by Carrie Underwood. Pretty odd choice for a literal 1-year-old. Does he even know what being cheated on feels like? They soon arrive back home, but Stewie doesn't want to leave the car, because the radio keeps on playing one banger after another. Brian leaves Stewie in the car to do his own little karaoke, which causes him to feel like he is the next Darren Criss or something.
I should be on Glee. In
anger, he accidentally hits the handbrake, which causes the car to move backwards. However, before it can hit the garage, Stewie manages to pull it back, which stops the car.
Oh my god. I just drove. That was amazing. I can drive.
And I am Max Verstappen. Unable to contain his excitement that he can drive a car, Stewie makes an elaborate plan to wait when Brian is busy writing his generic novels before taking away the keys to his car and going for a joyride. This joyride, however, soon turns into a nightmare for Stewie when he accidentally manages to crash it while trying to win some Justin Bieber concert tickets on the radio. If crashing the car was already distressing enough for the little baby, he becomes even more depressed after learning that someone else won the tickets.
Oh god. Oh my god, I'm in so much trouble.
Congratulations, you're caller number 5. You're going to see Justin Bieber.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Yes, Jesse, I won. Never say never.
Was that Mr. Herbert? I'm pretty sure that old man has been to Diddy's party before. I would be shocked otherwise. Stewie is terrified of the consequences, so he decides to just park the car back at home and act like nothing happened. Brian soon finds out that someone took his car out for a ride and crashed it. Doesn't take a genius to find out who did it, so he calls out Stewie to ask him if he knows anything about it.
Oh my god, that is surprising.
Stewie might not be the best singer out there, but he definitely knows how to act when he needs to. Stewie thought that he could get away by just lying, but unfortunately he left a solid proof in the car, which exposes his identity.
Your potato joke was terrible.
After exposing Stewie, Brian threatens to tell Peter and Lois about his mistake. Stewie is horrified that Brian would do such a thing, so he starts to cry in order to quench the anger inside Brian's heart. I take back my previous statement. Even Dwayne Johnson is better than whatever Stewie just did. Fearing that Lois and Peter might be extremely mad at him, Stewie decides to run away from home. He plans to go to the airport to fly to some other state, but he accidentally sleeps on the bus and completely misses his stop. If things weren't already worse, Stewie gets picked up by Consuela, who decides to take him in. Stewie is ready to start a new life with Consuela, but just then, Brian arrives and asks Stewie to come back home. He tells Stewie that he forgives him and won't tell Peter and Lois about the accident. Stewie agrees to go home, but Consuela doesn't let him, and she picks him up and calls him her baby. Brian tries to explain to them that her Mexican family members threatened them with a gun, which makes Stewie realize what's going on.
This is so effed up right now. I did not want to have to do that.
That was clearly self-defense, so I won't put Stewie at blame here, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't deserve to go to jail for his other crimes in the episode. Stewie has done a lot of terrible things to Brian over the span of 23 seasons of Family Guy, but in episode 20 of season 4, Stewie went beyond the limits and did unimaginable things to his so-called best friend. The episode Patriot Game starts with Stewie remembering the time when Brian pranked him by replacing his parachute with another one. Now, Stewie isn't one to take a disrespect like this one, so he plans his revenge. Like, really plans it.
Hey, Brian, care to place a wager? Tomorrow night on Fox's Celebrity Boxing, I've got Carol Channing beating Mike Tyson in 3 rounds.
There's no way that old woman with one step inside the grave is beating Mike Tyson, right?
Hell, give me $50 on Tyson.
Brian thought that he had easy $50 in his pocket, but when the match does start, he quickly realizes how big of a fool he is.
Come here, young man. I'm gonna bop you one.
Now, Mike Tyson is no stranger to beating up a woman, so he beats the hell out of Carol Channing. But unfortunately for him, the old woman grew up in the times when wife beating was still prevalent, so she takes it all in like a champ.
And the winner by technical knockout, Carol, put on your Sunday clothes, Channing!
Did Family Guy predict Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul back in 2005? After losing the bet, Brian owes Stewie the $50, which Stewie doesn't take much time before reminding him to pay back his dues.
So, you got my money?
Huh? Oh yeah, I'll pay you soon.
Sweet, great.
You know you are fucked when Stewie starts talking to you in a polite voice. Brian promises to Stewie that he will pay him back the money in 24 hours. And you all know what's going to happen next. If he really gave back the money that he owes to Stewie in 24 hours, this episode on the list wouldn't be here in the first place. Brian makes a huge mistake by asking Stewie to extend the deadline, and this is what happens next.
Yeah, that hurt? That hurt? What the hell? Yeah, it feels so good, does it? No, huh? Yeah, that's what happens, man. Oh my God! Yeah, that's what happens. Where's my money? You gonna give me my money? Where's my money, man? You freaking psychopath!
Jeez, Stewie, all that beating just for $50? Well, considering how low the inflation was back then, $50 must have been a lot. After taking all that beating, Brian still doesn't learn his lesson and refuses to pay the $50 that he owes Stewie. All this $50 talk is reminding me of that meme. $30? What do you need $20 for? I can't believe my son is asking me for my last $10. Stewie isn't happy with his cockiness, so he decides to punish him further, but this time, he doesn't use his fists, but a golf club. He goes even further and destroys Brian's both kneecaps with a bullet in each of his knees, and if that wasn't already enough, he proceeds to use a flamethrower to grow Brian into a hot dog.
All right, let's go to the bank.
If only he said these words sooner. Brian is extremely aggravated over the whole thing, so Stewie decides to make it up to him by giving Brian an opportunity to strike him once in revenge.
Okay, but I'm not gonna tell you when it's coming.
He deserved it. If Stewie was too harsh to Brian in the previous episode, then you won't believe how much he loved him in this episode. So much that he gave birth to his children. Yeah, you heard that right. So brace yourself to watch a pregnant male baby give birth to a litter of malformed puppies. The episode Stewie is Inciente starts with Stewie being troubled that Brian has been so distant lately. He keeps on trying to make small talk with Brian, but he always seems so busy and in such a hurry. Stewie is upset that Brian might not like him anymore, so he is thinking of a way to make things better again when his gaze falls on Joe and Bonnie playing happily with their daughter Susie.
Wait a minute. Joe and Bonnie never used to spend time together until they had Susie. Having a baby seems to have made them closer. Babies save relationships.
Although it's partially true that marriages where the couples have babies together are more likely to succeed, but that doesn't fit into the equation as to how a baby and a dog will gain anything from this.
That's it, Rupert. That's how Brian and I are going to improve our relationship. We're going to have a baby.
I don't like where this is going. Setting aside the fact that this sounds so wrong, how will Stewie even get pregnant in the first place? Males can't get pregnant, don't cancel me please. And Stewie is just a child. He can't even have his periods yet, even if he was a girl. Stewie has the same worries. That's why he creates the artificial fertilizer device, which will allow him to use Brian's DNA to create sperm cells, which he will then inject into his temporary womb to successfully create a child.
We do not judge the machine, we do not judge Stewie.
I am trying, Stewie, but you are not making your case any better. Being successfully impregnated, Stewie delivers this exciting news to Brian, who is soon going to become a dad.
My God, that thing's positive. What have you done?
Brian, we're pregnant.
Brian is equally as shocked as you all are right now, so he asks Stewie how he even got pregnant in the first place when they didn't have any.
People are gonna think I had with a male baby and then got him pregnant.
Stewie tells Brian that he is just blowing things out of proportion and making them sound way worse than they are. Brian doesn't want to listen to any of this blabber, as he tells Stewie to get rid of it immediately, as they can't have a baby together. Stewie is shocked as he asks Brian how he could say such a thing.
Say the word, Brian. I want to hear you say it.
Abortion! Abortion!
The forbidden word inside every Christian household.
I will not! Our child is growing inside me!
Stewie refuses to get an abortion, as this is the only way he is ever going to get close to Brian. Since Stewie is so adamant on having a baby, Brian can only accept his fate and takes him to a doctor for further medical inspection.
That's odd. Your seems to have a and two.
Sounds like a traumatic experience, not that I can relate. Stewie makes an excuse that he accidentally sneezed really hard, which caused these things to come out. The doctor believes him and lets Stewie go since everything is fine. After returning from the hospital, Brian takes Stewie to do some shopping for their babies, and after doing that, Stewie wants to take some memorable pictures while he is still pregnant with Brian's babies. After one disturbing session of photo shoot, the couple finally leaves as they head out to McDonald's to enjoy a Happy Meal to celebrate their newfound relationship.
Oh, Brian, I need you to take me to the hospital. My water just broke. Oh my God.
Brian hurriedly puts Stewie into the car, but he isn't able to reach the hospital quick enough, which causes Stewie to deliver the children in the car all by himself.
Oh God. Oh God, it's coming. Oh, can you see the head?
I am so glad that I can't see that. Who wants to watch a human baby give birth to half-mutated puppy abominations? Stewie thought that it would be just a single child, or at most a twin, but he forgot that dogs only give birth to litters, so it's just one baby after another. In total, Stewie gives birth to 7 puppy babies, out of which 3 end up dying due to extreme genetic defects, and the rest are abominations that no human would ever want to place their sights on. In the end, Stewie learns from Brian that he wasn't being distant from him because he hates him. He was just being distant because he thought Stewie is a growing baby, so he needs his own space to grow.
So, we didn't have to do any of this.
I guess not. How attached to them are you?
Not at all.
Yeah, me either.
So they end up giving away their babies to an animal shelter in the hope that somebody will adopt them. As if that's ever going to happen. We all know how much Stewie loves Brian, and sometimes to save Brian, he can go extremely far away into his evil methods of doing things. This is exactly what happens when the Griffins adopt a new dog who threatens Brian's position as the family pet. The episode, The Man with Two Brians, starts with Peter trying to push Brian into doing fun and dangerous activities with him. But since Brian is already 8 years old, which is 56 years old in human age, he is unable to keep up and ends up slowing Peter down. Lois becomes worried for Brian's safety, so she reminds Peter to not let Brian go on such dangerous adventures anymore, as he is already a senior dog at this point. And with him being an alcoholic and a chain smoker, he becomes a senior dog with a lot of medical issues. Peter can't live on like this, so he decides to find a replacement for Brian who can keep up to his daily dose of playful activities and not get tired.
Family, I'd like to introduce new Brian.
Hey, gang!
Immediately, everyone becomes fond of the new Brian, and no one remembers that the old Brian exists in the house anymore. At first, Brian feels bad, but after realizing that everyone in the family is having fun, he decides to bear with it and let new Brian take his position. However, there is one family member who isn't happy about this new Brian, and that's Stewie. He can't believe that the Griffins would replace Brian with a cheerful, optimistic dog that's always smiling and never causes any trouble for the family. For the chaos-loving Stewie, this new Brian is everything that he hates.
He's not just a delightful new friend for the family. He's your replacement.
After hearing Stewie's words, Brian becomes a bit worried that the family might truly abandon him when they have no use for him anymore. So to reawaken their love in him, Brian tries to play cute by showing them his videos when he was just a little pup.
From when I was a puppy.
Oh, look at him sleep.
Oh, I wonder what he's dreaming about.
Shut up, Meg.
Brian realizes that he has no place left in this family anymore, so he decides to leave on his own and go outside and explore the world. Meanwhile, the new Brian continues to get alongside the family, which makes Stewie hate him even more. He tells new Brian that no one likes him, so he should just leave as he will never replace the original Brian.
Well, Rupert seems to like my humping.
What did you say?
Rupert. Humped him for 2 hours yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah, he's gonna be thinking of me.
And just like that, new Brian ends up digging a grave for himself. The following morning, the family finds his chopped up body in the garbage bin alongside a suicide note. Even though Stewie was wrong in killing new Brian, but I won't say that it wasn't well deserved. I'm pretty sure it's clear by now that Stewie can go to extreme lengths to do favors for his friends, and this is exactly what he does in the episode with one of the biggest rivals of Family Guy, the Simpsons guy. The episode starts with Peter offending a bunch of feminists over his misogynistic jokes. This leads to a riot against Peter, so for the safety of his family, Peter decides to skip towns and find a temporary place for them to settle in till the angry population of Quahog calms down. After traveling for a long time, they decide to stop by a gas station to fill up their car, as well as their stomach. This is where their car gets stolen by a thief, which contains all of their valuables as well. With no money left in their pockets and nowhere to go, Peter and his family can only walk ahead in hopes that they will find a town to report the crime of their car being stolen. And that's where they come across Springfield, the glorious town where the Simpsons reside. The Griffins are extremely hungry, so they quickly look for a place to eat, and that's when they find Quickie Mart, the home to the greatest donuts in Springfield. Unfortunately, the Griffins have no money since their wallets were in the car, which was stolen, and that's where a kind local comes into play as he buys them donuts to fill their stomachs.
It's very nice of you, Mr.
Simpson. Homer Simpson.
We're the Griffins. Peter, Lois, Stewie, and then, the others.
Peter explains their current situation to Homer, who is kind enough to take them to his house and let them stay there while the police search for their stolen car. At the Simpsons' house, Stewie gets to meet Bart, who is just like him.
Eat my shorts.
Eat my shorts. I love that.
Stewie and Bart immediately become close friends, as they both share the tendency to prank on people and make fun of them. Albeit Bart knows his limits, but Stewie, he doesn't care as long as he's having fun. Later, the two boys are playing at the park when Bart gets punched in the guts by his bully Nelson. This upsets Stewie, who decides to make an example out of Nelson so that he will never bully Bart again.
Cowabunga.
Stewie takes the unconscious Nelson into the torture room that he has set up in the Simpsons garage, and there he tortures Nelson by using various methods. After torturing him for a while, Stewie asks Nelson if he is hungry, to which Nelson replies that he could eat something right now. This makes Stewie happy, as he has just the right thing for him to eat.
Eat my shorts.
Stewie is extremely satisfied with how Nelson turned out to be, so he spends the rest of his hours finding all of Bart's enemies and placing them in the garage one by one. He wants to showcase them to Bart later on in hopes that he will start to like him even more. So when it's time for the Griffins to leave, Stewie finds Bart and shows him what he did to all of his enemies.
I kidnapped all your enemies. Nelson, Jimbo, Principal Skinner, Sideshow Bob, Apu. I know Apu's not your enemy, but I just wanted to say I took Apu.
Stewie thought Bart would be very happy with his work, but instead Bart tells him that Stewie is really messed up in the head and that he should really start considering his life choices.
Stewie, I don't think we can be friends. You freak me out.
But if we don't keep in touch, I'll kill myself.
Maybe that's the reason why he can't be friends with you, Stewie. No normal person would ever unalive themselves just because a random kid refused to be friends with them. Kidnapping a person will definitely put you behind the bars for years, but you know what's worse than kidnapping? Kidnapping and murder at the same time. The episode 8 Simple Rules for Buying My Teenage Daughter starts with Lois and Peter heading out for a dinner, so they request Meg to keep an eye on Stewie in the meantime.
You know, Meg, if you kill yourself now, you'll probably get a full page in the yearbook.
Stewie keeps annoying Meg, as she is constantly watching over him, which means that he can't do his usual shenanigans. So when Peter and Lois come home, Meg erupts and tells both of them she can't do it anymore.
Finally! Look, Mom, I've had it! I am not babysitting anymore!
Since Meg doesn't want to babysit Stewie, Lois and Peter decide to hire a professional babysitter for Stewie instead. But they don't realize how hard it is to hire a babysitter who wouldn't just leave your kids to choke on Lego pieces while they talk to their 10 boyfriends on the phone. Just when Lois is about to give up, a pretty blonde chick named LaDawn enters and knocks on the door as she asks them if they are still free.
Sorry I'm late. Can I still apply for the job?
It is at this moment when Stewie realizes that he might be straight after all. Stewie instantly falls in love with LaDawn and starts preparing himself for their first play date. He even puts a bottle of baby powder in his diaper so that his package would look a bit bigger. Stewie is so excited to make love with LaDawn, but all of his fantasies shatter when he finds that LaDawn has a boyfriend named Jeremy.
Girlfriend? What kind of sick, twisted game are you playing at?
Stewie can't believe that LaDawn will betray him like this, so he blames it all on Jeremy and plans to remove him from his and LaDawn's love story.
All right, that's it. Jeremy must be destroyed.
Later at night, Jeremy returns home and finds that something is odd about his living room. He looks around and finds a note on the mirror which has a child's drawing mocking his relationship with LaDawn. Before Jeremy can even process what's going on, Stewie enters the house and hits him on the legs, which leaves Jeremy paralyzed and unable to move. He then ties him up and throws him into the trunk of Brian's car.
Here's your iPod so you can listen to the streaks while you gasp for air.
How evil. Stewie thought that once Jeremy is out of the equation, LaDawn won't resist his attempts. So the next time he meets LaDawn, she is on the verge of tears as she tells Stewie how Jeremy hasn't been responding to her calls at all. Stewie uses this as a chance to comfort her, and while LaDawn is lying on his shoulder, he tries to grope her, but LaDawn smacks his hand away.
Stewie, no! That is a bad place to touch. No, 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 no.
Stewie is afraid that LaDawn might tell Lois and Peter about his inappropriate behavior, so he decides to frame her before she can report him. He knocks down LaDawn and places alcohol and various drugs beside her to make her look as if she was partying.
Lois! Oh, thank God you're here, Lois. It was all her friends. They were doing marijuana and heroin.
I don't know whether to laugh at Stewie's acting or the fact that he can't even pronounce those drugs right. Lois immediately fires LaDawn and Stewie is free from all the allegations, except that he completely forgets about Jeremy, who is still locked in Brian's car's trunk.
Oh my God, Jeremy's still in the trunk. Oh God, how long's it been? Let's see, two weeks. Yep, he's dead.
It's not the only time Stewie has murdered someone before, and definitely not the last. The episode to the North Pole starts with Stewie begging Brian to take him to Santa, as he has some business deal to discuss with him. Brian agrees to take him there. After waiting in the line for hours, it's finally Stewie's time to sit in Santa's lap and ask him for a present.
Hello, Santa. But you're a businessman. I'm a businessman. I'm sure we can work something out.
Stewie flexes his crisp $1 bill, but Santa doesn't even flinch as he tells Stewie that his time is up and leaves. Stewie feels humiliated by Santa's nonchalant attitude towards his business deal, so in anger, he decides to take revenge on Santa by killing him with his own two hands. Stewie urges Brian to take him to the North Pole so that he can meet Santa in person. Brian doesn't understand why Stewie is so obsessed with Santa and asks if there is anything that he wants, he will just buy it for him.
This was never about Christmas presents, Brian, because I'm going to kill Santa Claus.
Brian tries to convince Stewie that it's all useless. He struggles hard to tell Stewie the truth that no kid should ever hear.
Stewie, you're putting me in a hell of a position here, but I have no choice. You're not going to kill Santa Claus because he doesn't exist.
Really, Brian? He doesn't exist?
That's right, he's not real.
Who else isn't real?
Stewie can't believe that Brian would spout such nonsense. He asks him if he also believes that the Simpsons aren't real and that SpongeBob isn't living at the Bikini Bottoms working as a wage slave at Krusty Krab.
Educate yourself, you fool.
Brian realizes that he has no choice left but to take Stewie to the North Pole, or else he will just head there all alone, and who knows what might happen to him on such a long and arduous journey. Brian also wants to see Stewie make a fool of himself when he realizes that Santa isn't real, but when they finally arrive at the North Pole, it is Brian who has been making a fool of himself by believing that Santa wasn't real. However, unlike the Santa that they have been seeing on TV since childhood, the Santa at the North Pole is a sickly old man who is on his last breaths. Before Santa passes away, he shows Stewie and Brian the dark reality behind Christmas and how the overpopulation and demand for fancy gifts has made his job to deliver gifts so much difficult. Santa shows them the condition of the gift-making factory where the elves who used to be a noble race have now reduced to a bunch of inbreds as the increase in demand kept increasing, but the population of elves wasn't enough. The reindeers, the precious mounts of Santa, have turned into monsters who feed on the flesh of dying elves, which has made them unable to fly properly anymore. Santa crumbles onto the floor after showing Stewie and Brian all the incomprehensible horrors. Stewie and Brian watch Santa take his last breath on his deathbed, which causes them to take the mantle in their own hands as they promise Santa that they will now deliver the gifts instead of him.
Don't worry, Santa. We'll make sure there's a Christmas this year.
Thank you, Brian. That brings me peace in this hour. I'll be with Allah soon.
Ignoring the fact Santa is a Muslim, Stewie and Brian head out to deliver the gifts to the rest of the world. Soon, they arrive at their first destination, but without Santa's power to magically appear inside the house through the chimney, Stewie and Brian only have one choice, and that's to break into the house and deliver the gift before quietly leaving. Unfortunately, the noise wakes up the residents, out of which a man comes downstairs to check on who broke into their house, and that's where he finds the Santa duo.
We're Santa Claus.
That's why you broke in through the window. I'm calling the cops.
Stewie is worried that police might mess up their plans, so he immediately strikes the man down to silence him before he can call the police. Brian helps Stewie in hiding the man's body. But the noise awakens the wife of the man as well, who comes downstairs alongside her daughter and finds her husband being dumped into the closet. She's about to scream in horror, but Stewie also silences her using the same method, which leaves their 2-year-old daughter traumatized as she just watched a baby and a dog disguised as Santa kill both of her parents.
Mommy!
It's okay. It's okay. Brian, see if you can find some duct tape.
Brian immediately finds duct tape and ties the little girl to a chair so that she won't be able to scream or do anything. In the meantime, they both escape the scene fleeing toward their home as the mission Become Santa 2.0 has already failed.
We failed Santa. Christmas is doomed.
Yeah, murdering a husband and wife in front of their daughter. If that's not enough to ruin Christmas for you, Stewie, then you might as well blow up the whole world. Ah, crap, I shouldn't have said this. Because that's exactly what Stewie does in the episode Mr. and Mrs. Stewie. And the reason? Just to make his crush fall in love with him. The episode starts with Stewie at the playground where he is playing with a kid who pushes him down and then runs away. Now, normally Stewie would have buried him in the sand, but this time he doesn't do anything since the young boy has leukemia. Stewie wipes off his dirty clothes when his gaze falls on another girl nearby who seems to be a new face in town.
My name's Penelope. What's yours?
Stewie.
Isn't that the little boy who pushed you?
Yes.
You there. Would you like a piece of candy?
It's the first time Stewie has met anyone who is as murderous and psychotic as him. This causes him to fall in love with Penelope as he proposes to her to be his girlfriend.
I've never said this to anyone before, but I feel like I may have finally found, in you, my one true soulmate.
Penelope shares the same feelings, and that's how the genocidal evil duo is born. Stewie and Penelope start their killing spree by first blowing up Mort Goldman.
Oh, I better make sure my wallet's okay.
Birds die for food, Goldman dies for pennies. They don't just stop here, as they continue to unleash their destructive ideas upon the world.
Say, we're on quite a run. We blew up the Great Wall of China, bombed the Eiffel Tower, and look at this note I sent off.
I love how accurate this is. Just a few weeks ago, we really came close to nuclear war between Pakistan and India. Wouldn't be surprised if such a thing really ends up happening. Up till now, Stewie has been enjoying all of this, but everything changes once Penelope asks Stewie to kill off Brian, as she feels that he is a bone stuck between their relationship. Stewie doesn't want to risk his relationship with Penelope, but he is also unable to kill Brian, which causes him to be stuck in this weird situation where he has never found himself before.
I just couldn't bring myself to kill him, Penelope. Brian is my best friend.
It appears I'll have to kill him myself.
Penelope, I can't let you do this.
Stewie, she's 1 year old. I think I can handle this myself. All right, Stewie, tag in.
Stewie and Penelope get into a huge fight as both sides use their advanced gadgets to secure a victory over each other. The fight is brutal and tough, but in the end, Stewie manages to get the upper hand and is about to finish off Penelope when she plays her trump card.
Stay away from my dog.
Very well, Stewie, I shall. But just one thing.
What?
Yeah, sure, Stewie. So these were the various crimes and atrocities Stewie Griffin has committed throughout the 23 seasons of Family Guy. Now the real question remains, can he even be convicted of these crimes as he is just a 1-year-old baby? Let us know in the comments. Until then, if you enjoyed watching a toddler commit multiple felonies, hit that like button and subscribe for more morally questionable content.